Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to Lifestyle Chapter. If it's your first time stopping by, I welcome you to the family and please subscribe. On today's video, I'm going to share with you how to make a simple but tasty fish stew recipe. And this recipe can be paired with any accompaniment of choice. I'm pairing this with rice. You can pair it with anything that you prefer. And so this is something that you can use any fish to make. It is so delicious and so simple to make. I hope you stay with me to the end of the video to see how this was made. So lovelies, let's get started. So here I have a bowl ready to add in all the spices, my one-stop shop spices over here. So I've added in some black pepper. I've also added in some curry powder. To that, I'm also going to add in some all-purpose seasoning, and I'm using the Old Bay all-purpose seasoning. I'll put all the measurements in the description box down below, and also I've added in some powdered onions and garlic powder. To that, I've also added in some cardamom powder, and I'm stirring everything up nicely together to make sure everything is combined. So I have all the seasonings over here that I'm going to use for the fish. So here is the fish. I'm using red fish or snapper. For this recipe, you can use any fish of choice, but the only fish that you can use is oily fish like salmon or mackerel. You can use that for this recipe. So you can use either tilapia, redfish, or snapper, and you're good to go. And with the fish, I decided not to use the head, so I used the middle part and then the tail of the fish. For this recipe, it is optional. You can, if you want the head as well, you can use it. So as you can see, I am pouring on the spices, and then I'm going to massage the spices onto the fish to make sure it is coated well. And then to that, I'm adding on some salt to taste, and then I'll continue to massage that also well onto the fish because I'm going to fry this. It is all done. The seasons are on it, and then I will leave it on and then go ahead and start prepping for the stew or the sauce. So here in a pan, I'm pouring in some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to allow it to heat. And then to that, I've added in some fresh bay leaf that I've cut into pieces, and also some fresh thyme. So I'll allow it to fry in the oil for about a minute or two. And then to that, I'm adding on some black pepper, and also I'll stir that gently. To that, I have my diced onions that I just poured into it. You pour in your diced onions nicely in there. I decided to dice my onions because it makes it easier and simpler, and I'll allow you to be fragrant or transparent. So it's going to be in the oil for about 2 to 3 minutes. And to that, I'm adding on some curry powder. I will stir everything up nicely and gently. And also, I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. You would have to stir it up nicely to make sure everything is combined well. And this is going to give it some color as well. So what you need is you have to make sure the tomato paste is cooked well. So I will continue to stir it up to make sure it is cooked well and it is combined well with the other ingredients in there. So it has been in there for about 5 to 8 minutes. And to that, I have here the fresh tomatoes. And with the fresh tomatoes here, I have in garlic, onions, ginger, some bell peppers. That's a green bell peppers in there. I also have some scotch bonnet and some habanero peppers in there. Everything is blended together and I've added it into the onions and I'm going to allow it to cook. So to that, I will add in some water, which is going to allow the tomato to cook nicely. So it will be on fire for about 30 to 45 minutes. I'm actually making a pot of fish stew for the whole week for my family. So it will all depend the quantity you are making. And also here I have a pot that I am pouring in some extra virgin olive oil in there. I'm going to fry the fish in this pot. So I'm getting it ready. And before I fry the fish, I'm going to coat it with some flour. So I have here some flour that I'm pouring it, or I'm putting it into a bowl on the side, which I'll be putting the fish in there to coat it nicely. Here I'm doing this because I want the fish to be crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside. It makes your stew look beautiful and taste great as well. So that is what I'm trying to do. I'll make sure I coat all the fish and dust it nicely with the flour. And now it's all ready to be fried. I'll start putting in the fish into the oil. I try to lower the fire because I don't want it to splash on me. So you have to be careful when you are putting in the fish into the oil. And here I'm not going to overcrowd the fish in the oil. I want to have some room so you will be able to turn the fish. You don't have to overcrowd it in the oil. Going back to the stew, as you can see, the stew is almost done, and when that happens, you see that the oil is resurfacing on it. So here the stew is halfway through. I'm stirring it nicely to make sure it doesn't get burnt at the bottom. And also you try as much as possible to lower the heat so it will reduce the splattering. And to that, I've added in some salt to taste. And also I'm adding in some nutmeg to give it a nice fragrance. And then I'll give it a gentle stir. So I'll leave it all to cook, continue cooking, and then coming back to the fish. The fish is still frying. as I was saying before, it makes it easier to turn it. I didn't put too much in there for it to be crowded. So the fish is all fried. I'm taking it out of the oil into a strainer with a paper towel in there so it can take some of the oil out of the fish when it's resting in the strainer with a paper towel. Back to the stew. It is all done. What I'm going to do now is I'm adding up the fried fish into the stew. Here you lower your fire from medium to low heat, because what you need now is just to get the juices of the fish into the stew for everything to incorporate well, so you don't need more heat to get it burnt at the bottom. So I have all the fish in there, and then also I'm adding on some green chili peppers, and this is going to serve as a garnish as well, and it is going to make the stew fragrant because it has this chili ness in it, and also it's going to perfume the stew as well, and also making it look beautiful, like I said before, a garnish for the stew. So lovelies, this is our fish stew. I'm adding on a little bit of salt, so it's all to your preference of taste, how much you want it to taste. I tasted it and I needed a little bit of salt, so I've added it to it, and then I'm stirring it nicely, so it will be on for about 5 to 8 minutes, and we are all set. So this is our fish stew. That is how it's looking, and it's ready to be served. And look how beautiful and gorgeous it's looking. So I served it with some rice, and also I'm going to add on some spinach, tomatoes, and cucumber salad with a salad dressing, which I'll bring it to you soon for you to see how I made that. So this is how our recipe is looking. I'm adding on some salad to make it more healthier, and I cannot wait to taste. It smells so amazing. Lovelies, you should be here to taste yourself. I hope this inspires you to try this recipe, and I know you will love it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, and share the videos. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.